Wait, you want me to move my wedding because Tyler's graduation might be inconvenient. The fork slipped from my fingers and clinked against my empty plate. Sunday dinner at my parents' house had always been mildly tense, but this was a whole new level. My mom didn't even look guilty. She calmly dabbed her mouth with a napkin, like she'd just asked me to pass the salt. Ava, don't be dramatic. The university just sent the final schedule. His ceremony is the same day as your wedding. We can't be in two places at once. My chest tightened. You've had my date for 9 months. My younger brother Tyler, golden boy, star of every family conversation, shrugged across the table. Hey, not my fault the college changed the time. It's a big deal, sis. I'm the first in the family with a degree. I stared at him. You think I don't know that? I helped edit half your essays. My dad cleared his throat without looking up from his phone. Come on, Ava. A wedding can be moved. They only hold commencement once. The words hit harder than they should have. I swallowed, feeling my pulse thumping in my neck. You want me to reschedule the entire wedding? Venue, catering, photographer, Mason's family's flights, all so you can go clap for Tyler on the exact originally planned day. Mom sighed like I was being difficult on purpose. You're flexible. The venue will understand. Just call them and move it to another weekend. And if they charge a fee, well, that's what savings are for. Savings. The ones I'd been building for years, while they bailed Tyler out of overdraft after overdraft. Across the table, my older sister Paige winced and gave me a tiny apologetic look, but didn't say a word. Same as always. Heat rushed to my face. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. If I don't move the wedding, you won't be there? Mom finally set her fork down. Her voice turned gentle in that way that always made me feel like a stubborn kid. Sweetheart, we can't miss your brother's graduation. Your wedding can be special another day. We'll do a nice brunch or a reception for you when everything calms down. Honestly, this might even be easier for you. Less pressure. A brunch. Instead of my wedding day. I felt something sharp and cold settle in my chest. I'd spent my whole life bending around this family. Babysitting. Moving plans. Covering shifts. Being the one who understands. Not this time. I took a slow breath, forcing my shoulders to unclench. I could feel every eye at the table on me. Okay, I said. Everyone froze. Dad finally looked up. So you'll move it? I lifted my water glass, my hand steady now. You guys do whatever you need to do for Tyler. I'm not asking you to change anything. Mom smiled, relieved. See? I knew you'd be reasonable. You're always the mature one. Tyler grinned and raised his soda like a toast. Thanks, Ava. You're the best. I smiled back. It wasn't a nice smile. Totally fine, I said. Don't worry about me. At all. They heard what they wanted to hear. Conversation slid back to Tyler's internships and some job interview he had next week. I sat there, nodding when it seemed appropriate, my mind already racing ahead. Because in my head, a line had just been drawn. If they could treat my wedding like a dentist appointment that needed rescheduling, I could treat their presence like an optional detail. 10 minutes later, I excused myself to take a work call and stepped out onto the back deck. The evening air was warm, buzzing with distant traffic and a neighbor's dog. I leaned on the railing and dialed the one person I knew would actually be on my side. Mason picked up on the second ring. Hey, future wife. The word wife almost broke me. I swallowed hard. You got a sec? For you? Always. What's wrong? I told him everything, keeping my voice low so it didn't carry through the kitchen windows. The request. The casual way they'd chosen my brother's milestone over mine. The brunch suggestion. When I finished, there was a long silence. I could picture his jaw tightening, his dark brows pulling together like they always did when he was focused. So they're not coming, he said finally. Unless you move the wedding. Pretty much, I said. And moving it means losing deposits, begging vendors, rearranging your entire production schedule. It's not a small thing. It's not happening, he said flatly. We're not moving our wedding because your family can't treat you like a priority. I exhaled, part relief, part ache. So, what do we do then? Get married in front of whoever shows up and pretend it doesn't hurt?
No, he said.
The way he said it made me straighten. You remember the network project I told you about? The live special? The one looking for real couples with real stories. My heart skipped.
Yeah.
America's Vows, or whatever they're calling it. They still need a closing couple, he said. I talked to the producer last week. They want something emotional, but grounded. Something that feels like it means something. A wild, impossible idea flickered in my mind. You're not suggesting. I'm saying, he cut in gently. If your own family thinks your wedding is easy to reschedule, maybe it's time the world sees the one person who's always been easy to overlook. What if your wedding isn't the thing that gets moved around? What if it becomes the main event? The main event. I turned, glancing through the glass at my family. They were laughing about Tyler's graduation robe measurements. Mom was scrolling on her phone. None of them looked like they'd just told their daughter to shift her wedding like a hair appointment. I looked back at the dark sky and let the idea grow. If we did this, I said slowly, it wouldn't be to embarrass them. No, Mason agreed. It would be to make sure you're finally seen. If they choose to miss it, that's on them. But you? You'll have a day that's yours. No one can pretend they didn't know it mattered. I let out a shaky laugh. You're talking about getting married on live national television. I'm talking about giving you a wedding no one can treat like an afterthought, he said. I can call the producer first thing in the morning. We share how your family reacted. We don't drag them. We just tell the truth. They'll eat it up. A mix of fear and adrenaline flooded my veins. This was insane. And yet, for the first time all evening, I didn't feel small. Okay, I whispered. Then louder. Okay.
Pitch it.
Let's see if they say yes. There was a grin in his voice. That's my girl. No more shrinking. If this works, Ava, you're not just walking down an aisle. You're walking into a moment the whole country sees. I hung up a minute later and stared through the glass at my family. None of them had even noticed I'd been gone. They wanted me to quietly move my wedding around their schedule.
Fine.
I wasn't moving it. I was about to make sure that when I said I do, they'd either be in the front row or watching it live with the rest of the world, realizing just how badly they'd underestimated me. And that realization? That would be the beginning of my revenge. Mason didn't even wait until morning. He called me before sunrise, his voice buzzing with the kind of excitement that only meant one thing. They want you, he said. The producer loved the concept. Loved the emotional angle. They said, and I quote, "A woman whose family underestimated her finally getting the spotlight she deserves?" They want that story to close the episode. My heart slammed against my ribs. So, they're offering us the spot? Not offering, he said. Begging. They're sending over the contract in an hour. Ava, this is happening. I sat down on the edge of my bed, breath catching. The morning light spilled across the floor like everything in my life was shifting into a new version. This is crazy, I whispered. Like, actually crazy. He laughed softly. Maybe. But it's also right. And before you say it, yes, it's all under their guidelines. No drama, no calling out your family, no negativity. Just your love story, your big day, and the truth that your family couldn't make it. I rubbed my forehead, trying to steady myself. What if my parents think I'm being spiteful? Then they can come, he said simply. It's still your wedding, Ava. They're invited. But you're not going to hide your happiness because they weren't willing to rearrange their plans. He was right. It wasn't revenge to hurt them. It was revenge to choose myself for once. Within hours, everything accelerated. The production team moved fast, faster than I imagined possible. They scheduled fittings, makeup tests, camera rehearsals. They found a stunning rooftop venue overlooking the city skyline, all glass railings and soft lights. Even empty, it already felt like the kind of place where a girl stepped into a different version of her life. By afternoon, they were filming interviews. A soft-spoken director with silver hair asked me questions while adjusting lights around my face. "What does this wedding mean to you?" she asked. Everything. Every part of me wanted to say everything, but I kept my voice steady. It's the first time I'm doing something for myself without waiting for permission. She nodded gently. And your family won't be attending? I swallowed. They had other commitments. No anger. No bitterness. Just the truth. And somehow, that hurt more but also freed me. Later that evening, I finally sent a message to the family group chat.
Ava.
Just letting everyone know. Mason and I decided not to reschedule. Wedding is happening Saturday as planned. 12 minutes of silence. Then Tyler replied first. Tyler. You know we won't be there, right? Graduation?
Mom.
Ava, honey, we talked about this. Why would you keep the date? You're making this difficult. I stare at my screen. Pulse steady.
Me.
It's okay. You don't have to worry about it. Everything is handled. They responded with confusion, questions, irritation. I set the phone face down and let it vibrate until it stopped. For once, I didn't rush to explain or soothe. Meanwhile, at the rooftop venue, Mason walked in wearing a fitted white button-down, sleeves rolled to his elbows. He looked at the lights, the cameras, the view, and then at me. You sure you're okay? He asked quietly. I nodded. I thought I'd feel guilty. I don't. I feel strong. He stepped closer, his hand brushing mine.
Good.
Because when you walk down that aisle, the whole world is going to see what I already know. What's that? That you're unforgettable. My breath caught. The city glowed behind him, and for the first time since that awful dinner, I felt a warmth return to my chest. A real one. We practiced placements, talked with the crew, walked through the ceremony setup. Everything was happening faster than I ever planned, but instead of chaos, it felt like fate finally catching up. As we wrapped up for the night, the director approached with her tablet. Just a heads up, she said. Our network promo team is airing teasers tomorrow. People are going to know a wedding is happening live. It'll be big. Big. The word thrummed inside me. My family wanted my wedding to be a quiet afterthought, something easy to reschedule. Instead, it was becoming the most watched event of the weekend. And they had no idea what was coming. The next morning, everything erupted. The network aired the first teaser at 7:15 a.m. sharp. A soft instrumental track played while clips flashed across the screen. Mason adjusting his tie, me stepping into the fitting room, the rooftop being decorated with white lights. No faces were fully shown yet, just silhouettes and details. But the final line of the promo? This Saturday, a bride whose family couldn't make it gets the wedding she deserves live. Within minutes, my phone lit up like it was overheating.
Mom.
Ava, what is this? Are you getting married on television?
Dad.
This some kind of joke? Why would you do something so public? Tyler.
Wait.
Are you the girl in that promo? I ignored every message. Not out of malice, but because I had a full schedule. Hair consultation, venue walkthrough, camera blocking, a final rehearsal for the vows. The production team was treating me with a level of respect I had never felt from my own family. Everywhere I went, someone asked if I needed water, a break, food, a moment. For once, I wasn't the background character. In the afternoon, the lead producer, Nadia, pulled me aside with an iPad. We'll be airing another promo tonight. Faces included. You okay with that? I nodded. Absolutely. When the evening teaser dropped, everything hit an even higher level. This time, it showed me clearly, walking toward the camera in my dress rehearsal gown, the skyline glowing behind me, a soft breeze lifting the fabric. The internet reacted instantly. Comments flooded the network's page. She's gorgeous. Why wasn't her family coming? That's heartbreaking. Rooting for her already. Can't wait to watch this wedding. I should have felt exposed. I didn't. I felt seen. Meanwhile, my family group chat was melting down.
Mom.
Ava, call me now. This is humiliating. Why would you go behind our backs? Dad. We need to talk. This looks bad on the family. Tyler. Graduation is in 2 days. Can't you wait until then? I finally responded with one sentence.
Me.
The wedding is happening Saturday. You're invited. Arrive or don't. No guilt. No explanations. No bending. And for the first time ever, they didn't know what to do with my confidence. That night, Mason and I met on the rooftop again to review our vows. The sky was deep blue, dotted with the first stars. He took my hands, his thumbs brushing my knuckles. "You ready for this?" he asked softly. "I am," I said. "More than ever." He smiled in that warm, grounding way he always did. "Good. Because after tomorrow, everyone will know exactly who you are." I leaned into him, breathing in the steadiness he brought into my life. "And who's that?" "A woman who refused to shrink," he whispered. "A woman who chose her own happiness." The lights of the city glittered behind him, like they were applauding the moment. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't living in someone else's shadow. I was stepping into my life, boldly, publicly, and unapologetically. And tomorrow, the whole country would watch me do it. The morning of the wedding arrived with a kind of quiet I never felt before, steady, calm, powerful. No chaos, no last-minute panic, no family voices telling me what I should change. Just the soft hum of the production crew setting up outside and the sound of my own heartbeat, steady and sure. At 10 a.m., hair and makeup finished. The stylist stepped back, her eyes shining. "Ava, you look like someone who knows exactly who she is." For once, I felt it too. The rooftop was glowing, white florals lining the aisle, warm lights wrapped around the railings, and the skyline stretching out like a painting behind it all. Cameras positioned at every angle, but somehow it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt like a stage built for a moment I'd been denied my whole life. Guests arrived, Mason's parents, his sister, a few close friends, the small circle of people who had always shown up for us. The energy was warm and real. No fake smiles. No whispers. 10 minutes before the broadcast started, one of the crew members approached me. "Ava, your family just arrived." My breath caught. I turned and there they were. My mom, dad, Tyler, Paige, standing awkwardly near the entrance, staring at the setup like they'd stepped into another world. They looked stunned and nervous, like they'd realized too late that this wasn't a small, rescheduled brunch. This was a moment bigger than anything they'd pictured. Mom walked toward me first. "Ava, why didn't you tell us it was this big?" I held her gaze, my voice steady. "Because when I told you the date mattered, no one listened. You chose not to be here. I didn't make that choice for you." She opened her mouth but couldn't find a defense. Dad cleared his throat. "We didn't think you'd really keep the date." "I know," I said quietly. That was the problem. Silence stretched between us, raw, honest, finally uncovered. Then my mom's face softened. "We're here now. If you'll have us." I nodded. Not out of desperation for their presence, but because I wasn't angry anymore. I had outgrown the need for their approval. "You can sit wherever there's space," I said gently. They nodded gratefully, slipping into the last row. The show's theme music began. Cameras went live. The host's voice echoed across the rooftop, introducing the story of a bride who refused to be pushed aside. Then the doors opened. I stepped forward. The city breeze lifted my veil, sunlight catching the edges. The guests rose. Mason stood at the end of the aisle in a light gray suit, his eyes locked on mine with the kind of love that steadied every part of me. Every step I took felt like reclaiming years of being overshadowed. When I reached him, he whispered, "You look like the bravest person I've ever known." We exchanged vows, simple, heartfelt, ours. And when he kissed me, the entire rooftop erupted in applause. Cameras captured it all, broadcasting our joy into thousands of homes. But I wasn't thinking about the viewers. I was thinking about how, for the first time, I wasn't shrinking, folding, or stepping aside. I was the one walking forward. After the ceremony, as the cameras cut to commercial and guests gathered around us, I felt a hand touch my arm. My mom. Her eyes were glossy. "Ava, I misjudged you."
"I'm sorry."
This was beautiful. I nodded softly. "Thank you for coming."
And that was enough.
Mason slipped his arm around me. "Ready for our next chapter?" I smiled up at him, the skyline blazing behind us. More than ready. Because my wedding didn't just give me a husband. It gave me my voice, my confidence, my place. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly, undeniably chosen.